Welcome back everyone to another edition of Figures from the Attic. Today we're back with a placeholder figure review of Kane. So you may know that Mattel recently released a new Coliseum collection edition of Kane. Yokozuna was in that set as well, but they're both wearing black and red attire. And Kane specifically is wearing his inverted look. So as you may know, when he first debuted, Kane had black on top and red below. So it was a black flame with red everything else. And then a couple of years after that, he debuted this inverted look, which just so happens to be my favorite Kane look of all time. So the funny timing is I did order the Coliseum collection. He is on the way, so I'll be reviewing that in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. But I did go to the toy show down here in South Florida, and I found this Kane from the year 2000. So it's at 26 years old now. And he was $5, which I'll tell you, much cheaper than what I ended up spending for that Coliseum collection Kane. And I would say, I mean, again, I don't have that Kane in hand. It looks phenomenal in all the prototype images, but this Kane is phenomenal in its own right and ahead of its time. So this was an interesting line that Jakks released. On the bottom of the boot, it does say the year 2000 and it says Titantron Live. Titantron Live because it did have these pegs that you can put on that Titantron Live set and it would play a clip of their music, but it doesn't look like the original Titantron Live figures at all. As you can see, he does have much more modern articulation, especially compared to the time, the year 2000. He has the torso movements. He has 360-degree arm movements. He has a bicep cut, of course, the waist. He has 360-degree leg movements and a boot cut. So much more ahead of its time than his counterparts in the year 2000. Now, according to WrestlingFiguresDatabase.com, which is a great site, and if you like collecting wrestling action figures, I definitely recommend you check it out. It's a database of all the wrestling figures ever released. According to that website, it came out in the year 2001. So maybe it was manufactured in 2000 and then wasn't released until 2001. But either way, it's at least 25 to 26 years old. And I think it's going to stack up pretty well compared to the new one that's coming out now by Mattel. Something else that's unique about this line is, again, it's not a proper Titantron Live figure, not only because of the articulation, but these only came out in 2-packs. This Kane specifically came with a Undertaker. So it was always 2 guys in a set, and they were always doing a finishing move to each other. So this was from Series 1, and there's actually 2 versions. There's Kane doing a choke slam to Undertaker, and there's Undertaker doing a tombstone to Kane. So in the packaging, if you look through the window, you would see kind of an action shot between these 2 guys. And that's why the hair is kind of free-flowing, because these were made to look like they were mid-action doing a finishing move. So that's pretty neat, pretty, I would say, ahead of its time in its own right. And it was something that I like to collect. I do have a fair amount of these. Over the years, I've had Billy Gunn, Jeff Hardy, I think Matt Hardy as well. I think I had a Test at some point. But they all had the same articulation, the same free-flowing hair, especially the Jeff Hardy. The Jeff Hardy one I didn't really care for because the hair was too wild. It was like literally sticking up over his head because I think he was doing a swanton in the packaging. So that's a little too much for me because when are you really going to need a Jeff Hardy that's doing the hair like that? Unless you're doing like figure photography and things like that. But this Kane, it's subtle and it looks great. I do love the mask. I do love the inverted colors in the mask as well. You can see more black than red compared to more red than black in the debut edition of Kane. And of course those eyes, the white contact, it just looks spooky. I think in general, this Kane with the inverted colors looks scarier, look more intimidating than the debut version. They're both great, but I would say this gets a couple of notches above, in my opinion. Now, as an overall score, this is a great figure. How will it stack up against the Coliseum collection? I'm assuming Coliseum collection will have the edge, of course. It is 25 years newer, and you know, they do have that benefit. But this Kane in its own right, as a standalone figure, I think it's phenomenal. Given the fact that it was so ahead of its time, given the fact that he is in my favorite Kane gear, I'm going to go an 8.4 out of 10. 8.4 out of 10 for this Jakks-specific Kane from the year 2000. As always, I appreciate you watching, and stay tuned for more.